Hi guys, I'm Ben Austin. I'm the CEO of Absolute Digital. Welcome to my first webinar ever. So the reason why we're doing this webinar, which is called What the Fuck, Work From Home, is because during the COVID start in March, Absolute decided from then really to go remote on a full-time basis. So this webinar is going to cover our experience of this, plus also other business experiences as well, whether that be director level or whether that be staff level. And during this series, we're going to have myself speaking to a number of people, but also staff within Absolute speaking to other people, other guests, whether that be agency side or client side, or just other figures within the industry. I've also today got on Kirsty Hulse from Raw Training. So welcome, Kirsty.
Hello, Ben. It's so nice to be here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. And actually, it's really nice to be recording this with you today because I have been working with Absolute in almost like a consultancy capacity since October, November.
A lot of things have changed in that time for us.
A lot of things have changed in that time. And so I'm really happy to be here recording this with you and doing this webinar. And I think it will be a really fun series and interesting conversation.
Definitely. Yeah. So without further ado, Kirsty, how are you finding things over the last year with the lockdown and all the limitations COVID's brought onto businesses?
Oh man, I mean, so for me, it's solid and steady now, but the early doors, like lockdown one, it was really touch and go. I think because 99% of my clients are agencies.
Yeah.
I think in April, I think so many agencies experienced revenue losses, sort of like cutting back. And so the work that I do was like a luxury for a lot of people. So I basically overnight, like this is no exaggeration, I overnight lost all of my work, like all of it. Yeah, but then by kind of like June, July, it just picked up again. And I don't know about you guys, but I found that things are thriving now. Things seem to be moving, and for me at least, seem to be thriving again.
Definitely, yeah. I think everyone was in that same boat with the first lockdown in March. There was so much uncertainty from we're going to lock down for 2 weeks to then 3 weeks. To then it's been, pretty much a year now that we've been on and off of full-scale lockdowns. And, but I think businesses are now starting to realize we can't stop, we can't hold budgets back, we need to adapt, we need to change and move forward. So in March, us, and I know other agencies did feel a pinch where we was getting customers that wanted to pause for a short period of time while they decided what to do and tried to understand what was going on. But yeah, certainly from about April, May, late April, start of May, we really started to see an upturn where I think a lot of business owners and marketing managers were thinking to themselves, look, we can't stay in this forever, we need to push. And now is the time. If other people are stopping and pausing, it's going to, work wonders if we can carry on through this onto the other side. So, we've decided to go fully remote, like I say, since, I think August was the final decision to that. We put it to a vote for all staff in the agency, who wants to work from home and who wants to work in the office. To my surprise, nobody wanted to go back to the office, which was a bit of a shame because we invested quite a lot of money. We'd only been in a new office for a year to hold sort of 40 people. It was all done up. We spent a lot of money on it, and we tied into a contract for a couple of years. So I was thinking, but a couple of months down the line after that, productivity is up. Results are up, and we're really flying as an agency. And like you say, we're really thriving. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's been funny for me because I don't know, when I started Many Minds in 2015, that was all remote by design.
Yeah.
And it was, slightly different model. Like a lot of the people I was working with were independents and freelancers. And my idea, the notion that I had at the time when I started that agency was that if you get really talented people and give them a positive workplace environment and get them to collaborate, then good things will happen. And I learned loads over that process. Like, I mean, one of the things that I learned was that technical work, easy remote, really easy. Like in the SEO space, like delivering technical audits, delivering migrations, really easy to do remotely. Creative, PR, links, that's harder because there's so much like emotion there, right? And you have to kind of collaborate so fully end to end. And so and you know, my experience running many minds, I definitely found that there were certain things that work really well in remote teams and other things that require a little bit more like process and fine tuning. But it is funny because when I was doing it, like so many of the agencies say to me like, remote is ridiculous, we'll never do remote. And I had one client.
The challenges you get of working from home with my puppy just barking. So he wants to be part of it.
Yeah, I remember like a lot of people were like, I had one client in particular, it was like a senior person at a big brand, and he was saying that, you know, remote would never work. It was like a millennial. He called it in a meeting once. He was like, it's a millennial fad. He said that to my face. And then he put something on LinkedIn the other day about how much his productivity is at working from home. And there's like a big part of me that like wants to go, I told you so. But I can't because there are loads of challenges, a lot of challenges, particularly in the SEO space.
There are a lot of challenges with working from home and going from an office to working from home. And I've got to admit, Kirsty, I was one of them people that I never thought I would let go of an office. I was struggling with the idea of having a second office because I wasn't going to be there to oversee. And, you know, it is so convenient when you're in the office to walk over to someone or someone to come over to you or pull everyone into a creative meeting or a strategy meeting or pull a client in. You get a lot from face to face. But, you know, again, I've never really worked with Microsoft Teams or Zoom that much in the past. That has all been thrown upon everyone because of the lockdown. And I think everyone's just got used to it and it's almost the new norm. But now I'm loving it. The team are loving it as well. And things are working really well. It took us a while to get our processes in place to start with. But we did start very early preparing for it from sort of end of January. Because myself and Lou, we was out in sort of Vegas and we was talking to different people when COVID was first out from all around the world, and they were telling us about how it's impacting them. So first thing we done in February when we got back was like, let's prepare, we're gonna lock down. So we were pretty lucky that we had a bit of a head start, but there's still loads to cover.
So as a leader of an agency, right, how many people do you have?
34 at the moment.
34, and that's always that, and maybe there's other like people work in agencies or run agencies. That number is always a tricky number, right? From my experience, you have the smaller, like 15, 20, like it's kind of okay. It's still like it's still quite an informal structure, quite an informal process. People are just getting stuff done, and then you start getting into those numbers, and that's when changes happen, shifts happen, processes become really important. So, I mean, I'm interviewing you now, but that's fine. So you found, what is the difference? You know, you mentioned you found it really difficult at the beginning and you're enjoying it now. What are the main things that have changed in that time?
I think it was my own mental space, the fact that I've had the agency since 2008, and by no means did I ever expect it to be where it is. I set it up thinking it was going to be a one-man band, 3 max. So I thought I'd always have control. I'd always be there. I'd be involved in every pitch, every sale, every strategy, everything that happened. And having it all under one roof, whether you are involved in everything or not, you feel like you can be quite easily. Getting that taken away from you where you cannot be there and sort of just call someone over, even for a bit of advice or, you know, get involved in everything. It's a lot harder to start with. But like I say, then you start getting some processes in place. For example, every morning we have our department meetings. So the heads of each department have a meeting with their staff. They all set up their day. They have a bit of a motivational talk about anything that needs to be done. And we have a weekly one as well on a Friday where we call it the Friday Feel Good. So it's any positives that have happened during the week, we all throw them out there. And there has been more positives thrown out that people can find now than ever before. And that has to be down to the way that we're working now. But also people are finding it a lot more fun, a lot more work-life balance. People are more committed as well, it seems. So yeah, I can't knock it. I know it's not for everyone. And the thing I found hardest, I think, was just letting go. And as soon as I let go, it started to get easier. But even when we started working with you, Kirsty, to be honest, we used to get end of day emails. So everyone would send, because we have a project management system where we log time against each client for billing purposes. And then we get that report from each staff member at the end of the day. So that gave me a bit of comfort that I knew what was going on. Oh, this is being done for this client. That client is getting that. Bit of a control freak on client work, making sure it's all done. And then we started working with you and you said, let's just try and not doing it for a couple of weeks. We haven't gone back. And again, nothing's dropped. Everything's working well. But it's also given myself and Lou a lot more free time because we would sit there in the evening, go through them, or when we wake up in the morning, it'd be the first thing that we do during breakfast. We're not doing that now, but things are still being achieved, and you know, it's fantastic. And it's growing.
And that's such like an interesting. There's two things that you said there that I think are really interesting. The first is this: you know, you set up this business. And it was the same for me. You know, when I first set up Many Minds, like I was just playing. Like when we got our first, like Virgin Atlantic were our first client. At that point, I didn't have a website, I didn't have a team. I don't even think I'd incorporated a business at that point. Like, and I was just seeing what could happen. And then before I knew it, like things were going and rolling, and then suddenly you have this business.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, for my journey at least, I got a few years in and I was like, I mean, I don't think I want this. I kind of like woke up one day and I was like, I think running an agency, working in agencies, leading agencies is one of the hardest jobs you can have. I really think that, because you've got the pressure of clients, the pressure of needing to deliver. It's incredibly rewarding. It can be very financially rewarding. It can be, especially in this industry, you know, it's a thriving, growing, dynamic, exciting industry, and there's lots of benefits to working in it. And I think that happens to so many people, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this will know this. Like, you start doing something and then you just wake up one day and like you woke up one day and you're like, I have a business with 30 plus staff. Like, how did this happen? I was just me. And so that I think is really interesting, because I think a lot of people accidentally end up doing things and we don't get the time or the chance to go, is this it? Is this what I want? And then the second thing you said that I think is really interesting, and I think anybody like in any stage of their career can really learn from this, and there's these two words, and you said let go.
Yeah.
And oh God, the act of letting go is the biggest professional lesson I ever learned. And it feels really counterintuitive, doesn't it? Because it's kind of like, you know, we think we've got to, and you said like control things, and, you know, we think we have to control things and make sure everything's okay. And we tend to think that if we turn away for 2 minutes, everything will fall apart. And I think most of us think this.
That is the thought that goes through your head. You just think, if I stop doing these end of days, if I stop seeing everybody face to face every day, it's all going to crumble. But do you know what? The staff can handle it, and they can do it. And it does prove. But you have to be thrown into that situation. I thought I'd be the last agency to work remote. I never thought they would ever do it. But I'm so glad we've done it for so many reasons as well.
And one of the things I've noticed, right, and if anybody's watching this, like, let me know if this resonates, because I've really noticed this in people. We tend to be like, if I turn my back, everything will crumble. I'm so busy, I'm so stressed. And I think as humans, we want to be needed. Yeah. We need to be needed. So I think a lot of us, we almost, outside of our conscious awareness, like create for ourselves this this like stress in the sense that we're like, oh, I'm so busy, I'm so needed, I've got so many meetings, and we love it. We love it because it makes us feel important, it makes us feel valued. And like that was so like in, you know, when I was running Many Minds, like I was working with some of the industry's best talent, and I still kept, like, I knew shit, I knew nothing, and I still kept telling myself that I was holding it all together. I absolutely wasn't. If anything, I was getting in the way. And so I think anybody can learn from your lesson, actually, like whether you're running campaigns, whether you are running teams or running a business, like just trying just to like let go of the outcome a little bit. I have an expression and I say to myself, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
And so it's basically do the work and then forget about it. Like put the steps in place and then forget about it. Because if not, we like chew on things, don't we? We kind of like go, oh, is this going to work? And we take so much of our own headspace up. Whereas for me, I take action, then I forget it. I take action, then I forget it.
Yeah.
And I think for me that notion of trying to like let go, like do the work, but don't be so attached to the outcome, you know, because it's all okay. Like it's gonna be okay.
I mean, like I say, I really, really struggled to let go. And then I done it. You know, we've been working with yourself, Kirsty, as well. You're helping myself and Lou let go. But because of that, and as a result of that, you remember when we first started working together a few months ago, my calendar was stacked, and you said, and I even showed it to you on screen share, and you went, no way, it can't, you cannot be running a business with a calendar like that. Now it's not even half of that. And what that has allowed us to do as a result is set up a new department, put all these new processes in places. I would never have had time to do that. The recruitment processes that we're going through, the new processes internally as well. You know, all the training that we're putting in place, I would never have been able to have time for that or Lou. So, you know, letting go really does, it's hard, but it really does make a difference.
What was it that helped you or got you to that point where you felt like you could let go a little bit?
I think it was try. It was give it a try, because as well, myself and Lou, we got to that point when we first hired you, is we were feeling overwhelmed. There was so much going on with our workloads, and then all the change of going to remote. We knew it was the way we wanted to go, and it's the right way for our agency. But it was so overwhelming with all of that going on. The business was growing really quickly. And then I was getting involved in a lot. Lou was getting involved in so much as well. And it was, what do we do? And I think we got to a point where we didn't have a choice. And we was like, something's got to give. So let's give it a go. Let's give it a try. And I remember we turned around and said, let's give it sort of 2-3 months and see what happens. Does it make a difference? And if it does, we'll run with it. If it doesn't, we'll pull back a bit and, you know, go back to how we were. But I'm really glad that we've done it. Really glad.
That's so nice to hear, because one of the things when I coach people, and maybe this can help people watching, that I will say is, do you know what? These are just experiments. And I would say that to you over and over again, like, it's just an experiment. So I don't know, like clear some space in your diary. It's an experiment. We can try it. And I think when we're thinking about like change, whatever that change is, we often tend to think as though we need to make this like lifelong commitment, right? Like you've got this lifelong commitment to running this remote business now, but we don't. It's an experiment. It's a test. And if it doesn't work, we can always change back. We can always shift things. We're always changing and growing and evolving. And so I think for people watching this, maybe who are resonating with this idea of like control and feeling as though like everything is in our hands, like feeling this burden, because I think we all experience that, and thinking about like letting go, like maybe clearing some space in your diary and just see it as an experiment. And an expression I like to use a lot, which made me smile when you were talking about, we set up the new department, we've got new clients, we're pushing our recruitment forwards, we're running webinars, is sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. Yeah. You know, like we can't do new things or like build new things if we're not creating the space for us to do it first and foremost.
Definitely. And that brings us on to this. I mean, I never thought I would see myself do a webinar or any type of live or pre-recorded event or anything. And here we are now. So But again, that's just giving myself some time, some space to step away from the daily tasks that I was being dragged down with, which I didn't need to be, because we've got an agency full of staff, 30 odd staff that can handle that. I just needed to let go, give myself some time, some space, and now I'm actually really enjoying it. So let's see.
You were nervous for this, weren't you?
I was really nervous. I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and it got to sort of, it's crunch time. We need to move forwards. I've never done any type of public speaking in my life. Even when we were back in the office, we got, I think it's 34 staff now. When we were in the office, I think we got to about 24, 25 staff before we locked down in March. And even doing the company meetings, I would get nervous. And I would need to walk out the room on my own for 5-10 minutes before to talk to my own staff. But then I would do it, and I would be a bit shaky in my voice to start with, and then I'll calm down. That is my own stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Ben, because I think a lot of people, say if they met you, for example, would be like, well, he's really confident. Like, look, he's just talking. This is no big deal. And I think it's so important for people watching to know that, you can lead an agency and be as outwardly confident as you are and still be scared as shit about stuff. I think it's really important that we get to see that side. So thank you for sharing that.
That's all right. That's all right.
You made me do it. I did make you do it.
I'm really enjoying it. And that's the thing, if you see me out, or, I go to Vegas a lot, and, I've got a huge group of people, and if you asked any of them, they'd go, "Oh no, Ben's the perfect candidate. He's always the centre of attention when we're out having fun or seeing family or friends." But actually, the thought of public speaking or speaking to people that I don't know inside and out has always scared me. But again, letting go of everything, having some self-time to build my own confidence up and think about it. And think, do you know what? No, let's do it. And even 2 minutes before coming on, right up to when we started, I was nervous. You could probably tell in the first couple of minutes that I was as well. But I'm still a little bit now, but I'm starting to enjoy it. So I'd recommend doing it. But I've held it off since I set the agency up in 2008. And I'd done a post on LinkedIn or Twitter at the end of 2020 over the Christmas period, I think it was, saying 2021 I'm gonna start doing them. So this is my first one, so thanks for joining.
Well, you've done a really great job, Ben. Well done. I told you it'd be fine. I think that was a really nice chat.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for your time. As I say, we're going to be doing these on a regular basis. They're all going to be about a series of different things. And we're going to have different seasons, different episodes, and we're going to try and group the seasons or the episodes into different seasons, keep them all relatively similar. So if you're interested in a certain series, then definitely jump on to the next one. But we'll be sending recordings out as well, so you can catch up if you can't join us.
And if people have any questions, then they can ask us questions on Twitter with the hashtag we're about to invent. Hashtag, we're building, what's that expression? Like you build the plane, like you're building the plane as you're flying it. Like we are making this up as we go. Work from home, WFH, WTF.
That's it.
Use that hashtag and you tag us if you have any thoughts or any questions. We'd love to hear them and answer them. And thank you everyone for watching and joining.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks,
and
everyone.
well bloody done for stepping into the arena and putting yourself out there.
Thanks, Kirsty.
Feels all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good. So, John, when's the next one?
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.